but the stars only blinked in the indigo sky. That was all the light there was, because the moon had just gone down. And Jorg heard the explosion. Something came up over the rim of the hill into the sky. Like a living creature it danced, throwing out arms of flame, licking the stars. Sparks fell like hot rain into Jorg's face. The thick, hot odor of fire came with it. It happened instantly. Jorg cried out, and couldn't hear himself for the way his heart kicked his insides out. He forgot how to run, and had to learn all over again. Looking at the fire, the little white house with the live oaks fronting it, and the iron pump in the back of it. It was roaring up in one savage thrust of flame. A hate tide rolled over the hill, and Jorg swam in it, drowning over his head. The house looked like a newborn sun. Not a shingle, bolt, or threshold in it was not alive with flame. It made noises, blistering, crackling, fumbling noises. Jorg yelled it. "Molly! Susie! Tom!" He wondered why he bothered yelling. Before he got near the house, he knew he wouldn't get an answer. He didn't. He got as close to it as possible. So close that his eyebrows stung, withered. His skin crawled hot like paper burning, crisping, curling up like little tight curls. "Molly! Tom!" The only answer he got was a rent crumbling when the roof fell in. Brilliant skirts of sparks were tossed out by it. The fire settled down contentedly to feed. Jorg ran around the house 12 times all alone. Then he sat down where the fire toasted his body and waited. Waited until all the walls had sunken down with fluttering crashes, until the ceilings bent, blanketing the floor with molten plaster and scorched lathing. Until the flame died and the smoke coughed up skyward, and the dawn was coming slowly, and there was nothing but embering ashes smoldering. Disregarding the intense heat drive fanning from the leveled flames, Jorg walked to the center of the ruin. It was still too dark to see much. Red light glowed on the sweating throat. Here, the kitchen, charred and disassembled tables, chairs, the iron stove, the cupboard. Here, the hall, where the parlor and the bedroom were. Where Molly was still alive. Where Molly Jorg now lay sleeping among the angry embers, sleeping pleasantly as if nothing had happened, her small white hands at her side flaked with hot sparks, her calm face slumbering with a flaming lath across one cheek. Jorg staggered. She was actually lying there in the remnants of her smoking bedroom, lying on a bed of glittering sparks, her skin perfectly intact, her breath rising and falling, taking air. Molly! Alive and sleeping under the fire. After the walls had roared down, after the ceilings had collapsed upon her, flame stepped upon her. Jorg shuddered. The soles of his shoes smoked as he pushed through the piles of smoking lath towards Molly. It might have seared his feet off of his ankles, but he wouldn't have felt it. He kneeled down in it. Molly. She didn't move. She didn't hear. She didn't speak. She wasn't dead, but she wasn't alive. She just lay there with the fire surrounding her and not touching her, yet not harming her in any way. Her cotton nightgown was streaked with ashes, but not burnt. Her brown hair spread on a pillow of red-hot coals. Jorg touched her cheek. It was cold. Cold in the middle of hell. Tiny breaths trembled her half-smiling lips. Molly. What's wrong? How did you... Jorg suddenly was aware of a sick stomach, and a heart beating like a battered kettle drum. He was plain scared all through. Susie and little Tom were there too. Behind a smoke veil he made out 2 smaller figures huddled in the middle of a blanket and a crisp plaster, sleeping. He carried Molly out of the ruins like she was a kid. Then he went back and brought out the quiet forms that were Susie and young Tom. He laid them on the edge of the wheat field and tried to get them to wake up. Nothing happened. Molly. Wake up. Time to get up. Another day, Molly. Her breasts moved up and moved down. Kids! Tom, Susie, wake up! Your mother is... He trembled over the word. Dead? No, not dead, but... He shook the kids, but they were too busy sleeping. He straightened up, his face all white, deep-cut lines. He knew. He knew why they slept through the fire and continued to sleep now. He knew why Molly just lay there, never wanting to laugh again. The power of the wheat and the Scythe. Their lives, scheduled to end yesterday, May 30th, 1939, had been prolonged simply because he refused to cut the grain. By waiting, he had hoped to prevent their deaths. He thought he could make them immortal. They should have died in the fire. That's the way fate wrote it. But since he had not reaped their grain, nothing could hurt them. A house had flamed and crumpled, and still they lived. But there was nothing for them to do. They were caught halfway, not dead, not alive, simply waiting. And all over the world, thousands more, just like them, victims of accidents, fires, disease, waiting, sleeping, just like Molly and the kids, not able to die, not able to live, all because he was afraid to cut the grain, all because he thought he could trick fate. He closed his eyes tight. Cursed. The job had to be done every day, with never a stop, never a pause, forever and forever. All right. By God, he'd show them, he'd cut the grain. He didn't say goodbye to his family. He found the Scythe and ran up to the field, feeling the hunger of it strike up through his arms, a hunger he nursed now with insane anger. Wheat whipped against his legs like flails. He pounded through it, shouting. He stopped. "Molly!" he cried, and raised the blade and brought it down hard, cutting wheat. "Children!" he cried again, raising the blade and brought it down again. Somebody screamed. It sounded like 3 people. George didn't turn around. And then, sobbing wildly, with a fierce, unrelenting insanity of vengeance against fate in every muscle, he rose above the grain again and again, and hewed to left and to right, and to left and to right, and to left and to right, over and over and over, slicing out huge scars of green wheat and ripe wheat, with no selection and no care, cursing over and over, swearing, laughter that was not his own anymore. The blade swung up in the rising sun and came down in the sun, swinging and whistling. Hitler marched into Austria. The blade swung insanely. Hitler marched into Czechoslovakia. The blade sang crimson wet. Poland fell. The grain leapt up, green falling left and right. Bombs hurtled down, shattering London, shattering Moscow. The blade went on, rising, crashing, scarring with the hot fury of a man who has fought and lost his loved ones and does not care to know or care what he does to the world. Just a few short miles off the main highway, down a rough dirt road that leads to nowhere. Just a few short miles from the highway jammed with California-bound traffic. Once in a while, during the long years, a jalopy gets off the main highway, pulls up steaming in front of the charred ruin of the little white house at the end of the dirt road, to ask instructions from a farmer who works insanely, unendingly, wildly, without ever stopping night and day in the wheat field there. But they get no help, no answer. The farmer in the field is too busy, even after all these years, too busy hewing and chopping the green wheat instead of the ripe wheat. And Tom Jorg moves on with his Scythe, and that hot, mad light in his eyes, on and on. This has been The Scythe by Ray Bradbury. See you tomorrow.
The weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Crime does not pay. The shadow knows.
Next week, same time, same station, Blue Coal, America's finest anthracite, will again present another thrilling adventure of the shadow. Be sure to listen, and be sure to burn Blue Coal, the solid fuel for solid comfort.